Chicago is the third largest city in the United States, and as such, it can be a dangerous place. All sorts of nefarious people hide in urban areas. So what do you do if you want or need to work in a city, but the idea of living within city limits is less than appealing to you? You try to find a safe suburb. So in this video, we're taking a look at the 12 safest Chicago suburbs that have a population over 5,000. Number 12, Justice. This village of 12,600 is only 23 minutes away from Chicago by car, by way of Interstate 55. And not only is it conveniently located to the city, but violent crime is almost non-existent in this community. The violent crime rate is 92% below the national average, with only 4 violent crimes reported in the previous FBI report. Property crime is 76% below the national average, with 59 crimes reported. That makes the overall crime rate 79% below the average, putting the chance of becoming a victim at 1 in 202. Justice is safer than 90% of U.S. cities. Another attribute to this village is the diversity. Justice was established in 1911, and since that time, it has drawn people from a variety of ethnic backgrounds. The current population demographics include 5.5% Asian, 15% Hispanic, and 21.7% Black. Out of the 55.8% white residents, almost a quarter are of Polish ancestry, and almost 12% are German. The one drawback I could find to living in Justice is that there is a poverty rate of 18.8%. Number 11, Naperville. With a population of 149,540, Naperville is the largest city on this list, so it might be appealing to people who like having a lot of amenities within a short distance. This is also a good option for parents who are looking for a good school system. In the US, 88.5% of the adults have a high school diploma and 32.9% have a bachelor's degree. In Naperville, the educational attainment rate is considerably higher. 96.8% have graduated from high school, and 69.9% have earned a degree. Being one of Illinois' larger cities means that there are more crimes reported, but on a per capita basis, this is a safe city. The overall crime rate is 91% below the national average. Violent crimes are 82% below the average, and property crimes are 93% below. They reported 102 violent crimes and 202 property crimes, putting the chance of becoming a victim at 1 in 489. Naperville is safer than 90% of U.S. cities. Number 10, Homer Glen. Homer Glen is one of the more affluent suburbs of Chicago. The median household income is almost twice that of the national median at $108,783, and only 3.3% of the residents fall below the poverty line. Despite having a population of 24,543, Homer Glen is classified as a village. This means that they don't have their own post office or police department. Some might consider that a drawback, but the community is only 39 minutes away from Chicago by car. On top of that, the violent crime rate is 94% below the national average. They only reported 2 robberies and 4 assaults on the last report. The property crime rate is 74% below the national average, with 124 crimes reported, so the overall crime rate is 77% below the national average. The chance of becoming a victim is 1 in 190, and Homer Glen is safer than 91% of U.S. cities. Number 9, Manhattan. Located 52 minutes by car from Chicago, people have been moving to the small community of Manhattan since the 1880s when the railroad started bringing in immigrants, especially Irish immigrants. This village has a population of 9,385 as of the last census. Part of why people keep moving to this place is the lack of crime in the area. They only reported 1 violent crime, which was an assault, so the violent crime rate is 97% below the national average. There were 42 property crimes, so the property crime rate is 74% below the national average. That makes the overall crime rate 77% below the average. The chance of becoming a victim is 1 in 189, and Manhattan is safer than 91% of U.S. cities. And that's with the village employing 46.8% fewer police officers than would be expected for this community's size. But then again, this is another affluent village. The median household income is $105,726, and only 5.1% of the residents fall below the poverty line. Number 8, Huntley. Approximately 29,000 people call Huntley home. Some of those people may be captains of industry. Huntley is located on what is known as the Golden Corridor. That's an area around Interstate 90 that has several large employers, including Fortune 500 companies located nearby. The second largest employer in Huntley, after Northwestern Medicine, is Weber Stephen Products, which makes the Weber charcoal grills that you see everywhere. In addition to jobs, Huntley has quite a variety of entertainment options, including breweries, which might be a part of why this is one of the few areas in Illinois that's actually gaining residents. This village is also really safe. The violent crime rate is 96% below the national average. They only reported 4 violent crimes and 127 property crimes, making the chance of becoming a victim 1 in 213, and Huntley is safer than 92% of U.S. cities. Number 7. Lindenhurst. Immigrants have been settling in this area since the 1830s, but the village of Lindenhurst wasn't officially incorporated until 1956, making it a fairly young suburb. Today, 8.3% of the population is made up of people who were born in another country and made their way to this village of 14,406. These are usually people who can earn more than the average person because the cost of living is 11% higher than the national average. But that's okay because the median household income in Lindenhurst is $115,495. They can afford to pay a premium for the safety that the village provides. Violent crime is 91% below the national average, with only 5 violent crimes reported. Property crimes are 85% below the national average, with only 42 reported. That makes the chance of becoming a victim only 1 in 305, so Lindenhurst is safer than 92% of U.S. cities. Number 6. Gilbert's. Gilbert's is a village of 8,366, which tends to draw immigrant families to the area. Children under the age of 18 make up 30.8% of the population, and foreign-born residents make up 17.4%. It's not hard to see why people would want to live in the area. It's got a small-town feel while only being a 52-minute drive from the city for one thing. Then there's the fact that Gilbert's is consistently finding itself on best of lists. They were recently rated as one of the best places to raise a family in Kane County. Then there's the safety. Only 1 violent crime was reported on the last FBI report, making the violent crime rate 97% below the national average, and there were only 35 property crimes. The chance of becoming a victim is 1 in 230, and Gilbert's is safer than 93% of U.S. cities. Number 5. Elburn. Settlers started coming to Elburn as early as 1834, but back then the community was known as Blackberry Station. I think I like that name better. It conjures up images of summertime. But anyway, the railroad requested that they change their name, and the village was incorporated as Elburn in 1886. The 6,175 people who live in Elburn have a variety of job skills that you might not find in other Illinois communities. The state's 3 largest industries are restaurants and food services, elementary and secondary schools, and construction. But in Elburn, the 3 largest are manufacturing, finance and insurance, and real estate. In addition to that, Elburn has 2.78 times the usual number of people working in firefighting and prevention. They have 8 police officers at last count, but they don't really need many when there isn't much crime. They only reported 1 violent crime and 20 property crimes, making their violent crime rate 96% below the national average and their property crime rate 83% below. There is a 1 in 285 chance of becoming a victim, and Elburn is safer than 93% of U.S. cities. Number 4. Orland Hills. Gerrymandering is one of the weirder aspects to American government, and Orland Hills is directly affected by it. This village of 6,893 is divided between 2 congressional districts. Illinois' 1st congressional district includes the north half of Orland Hills, while the south half is included in the 3rd district. Orland Hills also has its very own political dynasty calling the shots. Maybe that's part of why people have started leaving the area. They've lost over 200 residents since the 2010 census. For those who are left, the one thing they don't have to worry about is crime. They only reported 1 violent crime and 25 property crimes. That puts the violent crime rate at 96% below the national average. The chance of becoming a victim is 1 in 272, and Orland Hills is safer than 93% of U.S. cities. Number 3. Hawthorne Woods. This village of 9,062 is one of the richest communities in the state of Illinois. The median household income for this community is a staggering $206,875. Compare that to the Illinois median of $68,428 or the national median of $64,994. If you want to know which other communities in Illinois are the richest, I previously did a video on that, and I'll leave the link below. Hawthorne Woods is also one of the most educated communities in the state. 75.3% of the adults have a college education. Many of the residents even have advanced degrees. This village has 3.36 times the usual number of people working in legal occupations, and 15% of the jobs are in the category of professional, scientific, and technical services, making that the 2nd largest industry in the area after manufacturing. Maybe having a bunch of lawyers living in the village makes criminals think twice, because they only reported 2 violent crimes and 16 property crimes. The violent crime rate is 94% below the national average, and the chance of becoming a victim is only 1 in 481. Hawthorne Woods is safer than 94% of U.S. cities. Number 2, Inverness. Inverness is one of those places that was designed to be beautiful. One of the original developers planned the road system in a way that would highlight the rolling hills and natural contours of the land, and the first village residents moved into their homes in the late 1930s. Then in 1962, Inverness officially became incorporated as a village. Today, they have 7,616 residents, most of whom are affluent. Like with the previous entry, they have a large number of people working in the category of professional, scientific, and technical services, making it the largest industry, and the median household income is $185,558. Areas of wealth tend to have a lot of surveillance though, so maybe that's why they don't really have violent crimes in this area. They didn't report a single violent crime, and there were only 18 property crimes, so the chance of becoming a victim is only 1 in 414, and Inverness is safer than 95% of US cities. Number 1, Campden Hills. People have lived in the Campden Hills area for the last 150 years. In fact, their town hall has been used continuously since being built in 1874. However, the village of Campden Hills has only been officially recognized since 2007, when it was incorporated by combining 2 townships and another unincorporated community, making Campden Hills one of the newest communities in the state. It's also one of the most expensive places to live in Illinois. Housing costs are 121% above the national average. A cursory look at the real estate market shows that the cheapest homes currently listed start out at more than $500,000. When homes cost that much, the residents have to make a pretty penny, so for the 10,885 who call this place home, the median household income is $173,503. In exchange for paying more to live in this village, they get almost non-existent crime. There was 1 violent crime, making their violent crime rate 98% below the US average. There were also only 7 property crimes, which puts Campden Hills at 97% below the national average. That equals out to a 1 in 1,401 chance of becoming a victim, and the village is safer than 96% of US cities. They say money doesn't buy happiness, but it certainly seems like it can buy safety. With the exception of 1 village, the rest of the safest places in the state all have a median household income that is way above the state and national averages. So what do you think? Is the low crime worth the extra expense of living in one of these communities? I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up and share it on social media to help the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I remain stuck in the cornfield.